How are you doing? No, don't worry about
Didn't expect to see you guys today.
it. I didn't either expect to see you. Too much talking. Uh-oh. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Nara Singhaya. Namaste Nara Singhaya. Nara Singhaya. Namaste Nara Singhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Lada Daine. Kashipur Bakshaha. Shila Tankana Kalaye. Ito Nrsimha Parata Nrsimha. Jato Jato Jamitata Nrsimha. Bahi Nrsimha Hridaye Nrsimha. Raye Nrsimha Nrisimhamadin Sharanam Prapadye. Nrisimhamadin Sharanam Prapadye. Tav kar kamala bodhinakam adbhuta sringam. Dalita hiranyakasipo tanabringam. Keshava Dita Nada Hari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Tava Kara Kamala Badena Kamadbhuta Singam. Dalita Hiranyakasipo Tanubringam. Keshava Dita Nada Hari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Keshava Dita Nada Hari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshava Jita Nara Hari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Nrsimha Bhagavan ki jai Hare Krishna
Bhagavad Gita discourse.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. Everybody can move forward. Please turn your cell phones off or in vibrate mode. We'd like to welcome His Grace Vishnu Gadaprabhu with a loud Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Vishnu Gadaprabhu is the disciple of our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and was long-standing temple president of ISKCON of New Jersey at Tobacco, instrumental in even buying the property in Tobacco, New Jersey. Currently is serving in Philadelphia Temple. So let's welcome him with a loud Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Also somebody lost or dropped his keys at the gate. If anybody these keys belong to, please contact me and they can collect the keys. Put it here. Hare Krishna. I do usually like to sit on this big seat. You know that? I don't know if Madhupati knows, but during Srila Prabhupada's time, nobody ever sat on a big seat other than Srila Prabhupada, even giving class and everything like that. So it happened after. This is different. Did you know that? Did you know that? Yeah. Anyway, different things change. So when Srila Prabhupada first came, when I saw Srila Prabhupada, he first came to the Brooklyn Temple in New York, not the current Brooklyn Temple, there was another one. You know this? 439 Henry Street. So that's where I joined the temple in 1971. So when he first came there, he back in February, he began chanting a certain prayer before the Srimad Bhagavatam class. And so he came in July of 1971 there in Henry Street. And we heard that Srila Prabhupada started chanting this prayer before Srimad Bhagavatam, but we didn't know the tune. So one devotee there, Bharadraj, he made up a tune, and it went like this. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Very catchy, right? Catchy tune. So then Srila Prabhupada, when he came, he gave the class in the morning, Srimad Bhagavatam, he said, "Do you know this song, Jaya Radha Madhava?" Everybody said, "Oh, yes, yes." And then he said, very interesting thing, he said, "Do you think you can follow me?" And what did people say? Yes, yes, yes. So then Srila Prabhupada, with his strong voice, chanted, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. And then the devotees responded. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Not everybody, but a good portion did. So Prabhupada just said right then and there, "Can you follow me?" And were we able to follow? No, we are right there, right then and there. So what to speak of today, so many 52 years later, can we follow? Well, we try, okay. So then we have to know, we have to hear, and then, at that time, Srila Prabhupada kept on chanting that tune until finally, after a while, we caught on. But nowadays we have to catch on. So that's a little more difficult. It can be, unless we pay attention. So we'll chant. Radha Madhav. I asked Madhupati Prabhu a while back, maybe you remember this. The last line of this song, who knows the last line of that song? What is it? Yamuna Tiravana. Is it which A is long in that Yamuna? Which A is which there's two A's in it? Is the first A long or the second A long? How many say the second? Raise your hand. How many say the first? Raise your hand. Yeah, a couple of people. How many don't know? Raise your hand. Okay. Usually, I thought, well, gosh. You got, Jamuna, it's usually Jamuna, long Jamuna, right? Usually Jamuna. And so then I thought I did a search on Vedabase for all the Yamunas I could find in Vedabase, that has all, and so then there was not one that had a long A first A long, not one. So I thought, I wrote to Jayadvaita Swami, I said, "Hey, what's this? Is this a mistake?" So he consulted various people. But actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, whose appearance day was just a few days ago, he was the one, he made it Jamuna, first A long, meaning that not just that Krishna walks along the bank of the Jamuna, but he is the person who walks along the bank of the Jamuna. That's Jamuna Tiravanachari, that's Krishna's name, long A first. Instead, Jamuna Tiravanachari just means a description of what someone does, but Jamuna means that person who actually walks along. Do you follow? Yep. Okay, good. Thank you. I didn't, all these years, I was doing it wrong, all these years. Which reminds me, I haven't even started yet. I'm going off. But it reminds me that I was in Puerto Rico. So I usually go to Puerto Rico. They have a Rath Yatra usually the last part of the year, sometime after Christmas usually. So I go there. I've been going there because a devotee who was my friend, he really wanted to start the Rath Yatra there. And then he passed away, and he said, "Please go, continue to go." So this last year, I went there, and there were some devotees who were, you have the Deepa, the Arti flame, and after the flame, when they're offering the flame, they go around and they were touching it to people's foreheads. Did I tell you this story already? No. They're touching to people's foreheads and then giving it to them to go like this. So I said, "What's this? What's this?" Somebody's hair might catch on fire, right? So they said, "Well, that's we're respecting them we respect it first, like it takes a flower and you respect it." And so I said, "Where does that come from?" They said, "Well, everybody in South America, ISKCON does that. Everybody does that. Isn't that surprising?" So it is a very interesting thing that sometimes we get off on tangents, where somebody comes up with some idea and it goes on and on and on, and the whole continent is doing it, even though Srila Prabhupada never did that, never put it in somebody's hair. No. You follow. Okay, anyway, that's a little bit of a theme of this particular class that we're going to give. Okay. So let's chant Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya, and sometimes you hear the devotees from America especially it's Radha, right? 2 long A's, Radha, not Radha, right? Okay. Kartal. I sing, you say, right? Yeah. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Good. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Giri Baradhari. Gopijana Vallabha Giri Baradhari. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jabunathira Banachari. Jamunathira Banachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Baradhari. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamunatira Banachari. Jamunatira Banachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhams Paribrajak Acharya Shtothara Shishimara's Divine Grace. A.C. Bhakti Vedant Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashari Gaur Bhakti Vrindi ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Ganga Devi, Yamuna Devi, Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shramaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedant Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirbishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 14th verse. This is a very famous verse. Some of you know this verse perhaps. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrata Namasyantascha mam bhaktya Nityayukta upasate Satatam kirtayanto mam Yatantascha dridhavrata Namasyantascha mam bhaktya Nityayukta upasate. Please chant. Satatam kirtayanto mam Yatantascha dridhavrata Namasyantascha mam bhaktya Nityayukta upasate. Satatam kirtayanto mam Yatantascha dridhavrata Namasyantascha mam bhaktya Nityayukta upasate. Satatam kirtayanto mam Yatantascha dridhavrata Namasyantascha mam bhaktya Nityayukta upasate. Satatam kirtayanto mam Yatantascha dridhavrata Namasyantascha mam bhaktya Nityayukta upasate. Satatam kirtayanto mam Yatantascha dridhavrata Namasyantascha mam bhaktya Nityayukta upasate. Satatam, always. Kirtayanta, chanting. Mam, about me. Yatanta, fully endeavoring. Cha, also. Dridhavrata, with determination. Namasyanta, offering obeisances. Cha, and mam, me. Bhaktya, in devotion. Nityayukta, perpetually engaged. Upasate, worship. You see, some of those words have an H at the end. Do you notice that? With a dot. So technically you pronounce that aha. I don't usually do it just because Srila Prabhupada didn't always do it. Usually he didn't do it, sometimes he did. That's why I don't do it. But you can do, aha is actually technically correct. Do you follow? Yeah, okay, all right. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. I say, you say. Always chanting my glories. Endeavoring with great determination. Bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, the personality of Godhead. What was that? What does a Mahatma do? What was that? Okay, just checking. Ladies are following? Yes, gents are following? Okay. Okay. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising his holy name, his eternal form, his transcendental qualities, and his uncommon pastimes. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmajyoti, is not described as Mahatma in the Bhagavad Gita. He is described in a different way in the next verse. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, not a demigod or human being. That is devotion. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu and Smaranam, remembering him. Such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve at the ultimate end the association of the Supreme Lord in any one of his 5 transcendental rasas. To achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily, and vocal, everything in the service of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. That is called Krishna consciousness. Yeah, somebody know it over there. In devotional service, there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days. Like what days do you fast? What's that? Okay, Ekadashi. Any others? Okay, you do? You fast on those? Okay. Gaur Purnima? No? Yeah? Okay. Such as the 11th day of the moon, Ekadashi, and on the appearance day of the Lord. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great acharyas for those who are actually interested in getting admission to the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. The Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired result. As described in the 2nd verse of this chapter, not only is the devotional service easy, but it can be performed in a happy mood. Smiles, please. Okay, good. Thank you. It can be in a happy mood. One does not need to undergo any severe penance and austerity. He can have this life he can live this life in devotional service, guided by an expert spiritual master, and in any position, either in a householder or a sannyasi or a brahmachari, in any position and anywhere in the world he can perform this devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become actually a Mahatma or a great soul. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyanan Jana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. But you don't have to repeat it. It's me. I was born. Maybe you weren't. I was. But my spiritual master has opened my eyes with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Therefore, I must offer my respectful obeisances first to him. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtang Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Kadamakyam Dadati Shapandantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So what is this verse in Bhagavad Gita about? Anybody remember? Oh, that was the previous verse of Mahatma, but it's also about Mahatma. But the specific subject was that? Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. Yeah, that Mahatma, a great soul, you can also be great souls. They're always Kirtaya. They're chanting my glories, Kirtan. So, the Padma Purana says, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhave Grayam Indriyai Sevan Mukheti Jivadao Swayam Eva Sparatyada. We can't approach Spirit and the Supreme Spirit with our blunt material senses. Not possible. But if the senses are purified by devotional service, beginning with the tongue, then you can realize and understand God. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, as Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, there are 9 kinds of devotional service. Maybe you know those 9 kinds of devotional service. What are they? Shravanam, hearing. Kirtanam, then. Smaranam. Padasevanam. Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Is that 9? Did we get 9? Okay. But interesting thing, Srila Prabhupada quotes Jiva Goswami in a purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that in the Kali Yuga, in order for any of the kinds of devotional service to be effective, you know what? What's that? It has to be preceded and followed by kirtan. Yeah, by kirtan. This is the prime benediction for humanity at large, the kirtan. Kirtan. So Jiva Goswami says, yes, in order to have any, you may do archan, you may do some padasevanam or dasyam, you may do some service to God, but to be successful it has to be preceded and followed by kirtan. So what is kirtan? What is that? What is it? Glorifying Lord Krishna, and that can include chanting about his name, his quality, his pastimes, especially in Kali Yuga, especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu encouraged everybody to chant the holy names of God. Nam Sankirtan, isn't it? Karabhajana Muni in the Srimad Bhagavatam was asked by Nimi Maharaj, what is the incarnation of God in Kali Yuga? And Karabhajana Muni responded, Krishna Varanam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangashta Parshadam Jagya Sankirtana Prayar Yajantihi Sumedhasa. He said, in this age of Kali, the Lord himself comes, Krishna Varanam. Krishna Varanam means he's the same category of Krishna. You know, Varna, sometimes people take it as caste. category, Krishna Varnam. And also, Krishna Varna means he himself is always chanting Krishna. Krishna Varnayati, if you take it as a verb. Tvisha Krishna, but his form is not blackish like Krishna. It's golden, Gauranga. Yeah. Sangopangashtra Parsharam. And he's surrounded by his weapons, which is not Gada, Chakra, Padma, Shank, but his weapons are his associates. Nityananda. Who's that? Usually if you listen to our kirtans, we usually say Nityananda. Have you ever noticed that? Nityananda. It's really Nityananda, Advaita, Prabhu, Gadadhar, Srivas. Yeah, Gadadhar. If you know somebody over time, you might pronounce their name right, you know. We had a summer camp this summer, and there was a girl, and her name was Pari. Pari. And I called her, oh, hi, Pari. She said, no, it's Pari, not Pari. It's just a little girl, like 8 years old. She's telling me this, yeah? Okay. Pari. Nityananda. Yeah. So his associates, yeah, those are his weapons. And then Jagyar Sankirtana Prayar, Yajag Sankirtana Prayar, Yajanti hi Sumedhasa. You know, Sumedhasa, that word medha means intelligent. And Sumedha means really smart. Or you could say woke, right? You could say woke. No? Really, those people, they'll engage in the Sankirtan. So Kirtan means the glorification of God. His name, his form, his qualities, his pastimes, as Prabhupada mentioned in the purport. So, when Shukadev Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit on the bank of the Jamuna, was that Kirtan? Are you sure of that? What makes you say that? Was there kartals? Was he using kartals? Om Namo. No kartals? No mridanga? Why not? No kartals or mridanga. So that was kirtan. And in fact, we say that Shukadev Goswami reached perfection by that kirtan, right? We haven't reached perfection yet, but we're struggling like anything to try to get that way. Yeah. But so kirtan doesn't mean kartals and mridanga. It doesn't. This is something important to know. Kirtan means the glorification of the Lord and chanting the holy names of the Lord. Cheto darpanam arjanam bhava mahadavagni navapanam shriya kairava chandri kavitaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam buddhi bardhanam pratipadam purnamrita shvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Oh, the holy name alone, yes. Next verse. Oh, glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan. It cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years together. Like, you know, you ever cook at home, ladies, some gents also, and then you leave the stuff on there, and then the next day, isn't it harder to get out? Isn't it? Yeah. So the dirt's been on your heart and my heart for like eons. It's really hard to get out. So you got to have kirtan, right? The kirtan. Okay, all right. And a kirtan cleanses the heart of all the dust. And what is the dust? The dust is, we're thinking that we're this material, physical frame, body, and that the happiness we can achieve is through gratifying the senses of our body. Anandam buddhi bardhanam, but there's unlimited happiness we can have by actually learning and practicing chanting the holy names of God. In the second verse of the Shikshastaka, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even though he was a great scholar, he left these 8 verses. You know, in Christianity, they have something called the Lord's Prayer. Have you ever heard that? Anybody had a Christian background here? No? Anyway, they put a lot of emphasis on the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Like, you know this? Hallowed be thy name. So yeah, why is it so important? Because it was a prayer given by Jesus. So it's perfect, right? That's what in Krishna consciousness, you've got 8 prayers given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Shikshastakam, 8 prayers. The first one we mentioned. Then the next one is really, really good also. Nam nama kari bahuda nija sarva shaktis tatrar pita niyamata smarane nakala etadrishi tava kripam bhagavan mamapi durdaiva me dursamihajani nararaga. Let's translate that. Nam nama kari bahuda. Oh my Lord, your holy name alone can render benediction to the living beings. And therefore, you have hundreds and millions of names. Like Krishna Govinda, Arapita, Nija Sarva Shakti, and you've invested all of your potency in God, in your name, in your holy name, all your potency. This is what you mean. You know, people say God is all powerful. Have you ever heard that before? God is all powerful. Have you heard that? Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So part of that all powerfulness means everything associated with him has his potency. Nija Sarva Shakti is his power, his potency. Tatarpita niyamata smarane nakala. And he says, and Prabhupada translated that, or Bhaktivinoda Thakur translated that, there's no hard or fast rules for chanting the holy name. There's no hard or fast rules for chanting. What does that mean, hard or fast rules? Niyamata. Niyamata means, niyama means restrictions, rules, yeah. Smarane nakala, in terms of when you can remember it, and time and place. So, I thought you Hare Krishnas, you have all kinds of rules, don't you? Don't you have all kinds of rules? I thought, you know, you have said, no, if you want to make spiritual advancement, no eating of meat, fish, or eggs, right? No intoxication, even, you know, now it's very popular, ganja. No, tea, everything, even tea, yeah. No illicit sex and no gambling. Yeah, these are rules, right? And then there's so many rules. Aren't there? Anybody know any other rules that sometimes are associated with chanting the holy names? Come on, come on, come on. I'm asking. Come on. If you want to, what's that? Huh? 10 offenses, right? There are 10 offenses in chanting the holy names. No, sadhu ninda, you know, blaspheming or criticizing unnecessarily devotees. I used to think, you know, because it said devotees have dedicated their lives to propagating the holy names of the Lord. So I used to say, well, I mean, there's some devotees who've dedicated their lives and there are other devotees who didn't, so I'll criticize those ones. I thought I'd get away with it, but no. It didn't work. Because I heard Prabhupada say, no, any devotee, don't criticize like that. Nah, any devotee, any devotee. Then considering the names of the demigods, Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, to be equal to or independent of the Lord, right? Blaspheme the Vedic literatures. There's 10 offenses. And the result of, you know, if we don't try to free ourselves from those 10 offenses, the holy name, we won't get the benefit. We won't get the full benefit. So we won't get the full benefit. So what does it mean in this instance? What does it mean when it says smarane nakala, niyamata smarane nakala? There's no hard or fast rules. What does that mean? You can chant anytime. Yes, yes, yes. Any chant, any time, anywhere. What else might it mean? This is sometimes this idea that there's no hard or fast rules means I'll just chant anything, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you a story. The second time I went to India, I was going from Bengal to Vrindavan and I stopped in Varanasi. Have you been to Varanasi, anybody? Yeah, yeah. And I heard, because you know Lord Chaitanya, he preached in Varanasi, and he stayed there for some time speaking to Sanatan Goswami, wasn't it? Yeah. So anyway, they were having a band in commemoration of Lord Chaitanya's stay in, I heard this. They're having a band there in Varanasi, and I heard, so I said, I'd like to go see that band. Oh, they're having a band for Lord Chaitanya, yeah. So, you know, I went out the next morning, early morning, and then, you know, old men, young men, ladies, gents, you know, all kinds of people were there. They had their instruments, and they were just blowing loudly, playing banging gongs. It was a cacophony free-for-all sound, no kirtan. No kirtan whatsoever. No kirtan. Does that apply to this? No. There's no kirtan. And the first time I went to India, I went to different temples, and especially we started in Mayapur, and then we went to various Gaudiya, not Gaudiya Math, but Gaudiya temples. And in many of the temples, what we saw was that, people were banging the gong during the arati, but no chanting. Does that happen? Have you ever seen that happen? I saw it happen. Now we're talking about this, these two events were in the land of Lord Krishna, the land of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the land of Narottam Das Thakur, beautiful poems and music, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Prabhupada. And this is what it's come to. The kirtan has come to this, just banging some gongs, making some noise. Could that happen with ISKCON? Could that happen with ISKCON? I hope not. I hope not. But, I see, we're talking, there's no hard or fast rules. But there is one hard or fast rule. One rule to qualify as kirtan. You know what that rule is? One rule of kirtan, the first rule, the prime rule of kirtan. He knows, he was there. What's the first rule? First rule of kirtan. You got to chant. You got to chant. Now this may seem like it's a kind of, obvious, but it's not. It's not. I'll tell you. I've gone around to different temples, and usually you'll see people playing the kartals or playing the drum, and guess what? They're not chanting. They're not chanting. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen over time? In those days, they didn't have microphones. But nowadays, we have microphones so we can blare over the din of the kartals. But, what happens is, somebody plays one kartal, two kartals, three kartals, and it becomes so loud, it's very hard to hear what is the kirtan? Is the kirtan the kartals? Is the kirtan the drum? What is the kirtan? The name. The holy names. So the kartals and the mridanga are supposed to be supporting the holy name, not drowning it out. You see these? Really, these are for outside, not for inside the temple. Really. Because they make a loud noise. They make a loud noise. But I was surprised. I mean, I told you we just had a summer camp last August. Yeah. So there were many kids. We had 45 kids there. And many of them were playing very nice mridanga, very nice kartal. But I'll tell you something. 80% did not chant while they're playing. 80%. I'm telling you, 80%. So this is something for the parents. This is something for the administrators. This is something for the kids and the adults. That, when I was first taught how to play mridanga and this was, we're talking 1972. And the devotee who taught me was named Madhusudana. Madhusudana, my godbrother, older godbrother. And he told me, to start out with, he taught me, Prabhupada said that if you just play but you don't chant, that's not you can't do that. He told me that. There's these bowls, this ke ta ta ke, those bowls that they. And he said the purpose of those bowls is to get you in the practice of chanting while you play. Because if you don't practice when you start, you'll never do it later. So I was thinking, I always remember that, so I always try to make sure that when I taught somebody how to do kirtan, and they were going to play mridangas or kartals, they would have to practice chanting, because if they don't practice chanting from the beginning, later it's going to be very difficult. Very difficult. So, yeah. So then, you know what? I was reading, there's the book called Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava. Has anybody seen that book? Madhupati, yes. Nobody else? Just Madhupati? A couple other devotees, yeah. In that book, there's a section on kirtan. And in that section, it says, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, you know who Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is? Prabhupada's guru, yes, yeah. He said, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he was having kirtan, he said he didn't like people to play the instruments but not chant. Oh, you know what that's called? That's called parampara. It's the same instruction that's coming down. I was very happy to read that because it's not something, I thought, well, maybe I didn't hear it right. No. It's the same instruction that Srila Prabhupada got, and that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was giving, and that Lord Chaitanya is giving. So the first rule of kirtan is what? Really simple stuff. I know Jayadevata Maharaj has written a book on kirtan, how to reform kirtan. You know, I don't think it's printed yet, but it's in the coming soon. Yeah. So he has very many important instructions in that book. But I'm starting way even before that. So kirtan means you got to chant. And I mean, there are many other important things there, but another thing is, so when the instruments are too loud, 3 negative things occur. 3. Any guesses? What's the first one? Yeah, it drowns out what the kirtan is, it drowns it out. It drowns out the holy name, which is not the whole purpose of the kirtan. Usually, let's be honest. Everybody wants their voice heard, right? Everybody. Oh, listen to me. I'm very important. So everybody wants to play. You want to play the kartals loud. You want to play the drum loud because we want to be heard. We want to make an effect. Well, guess what? In the 6 Goswamis, they said, Krishnut kirtana gana nartana paro. Krishnut kirtan, they had very, very loud kirtans, right? But the loudest wasn't the kartals or the drum, it was the name. That was the thing. So the first problem that happens in a kirtan is if the instruments are loud, it drowns out the holy name. And then we have to get microphones because otherwise you can't hear the holy name. And then another thing that happens when you get all these like 16 kartals and 70 drums, you know what else happens? Next thing happens? You go deaf. You know why? Because you got all this sound. I mean, I've taken, they have these decibel meters. You can check it here in your decibel meters. And I took I measured the sound during a regular kirtan in the Philadelphia temple. It's a little smaller than this temple, but it was, comparable. And I measured the decibels, and you know what? It was over 100, the decibels. And they weren't using wampers. And what does that mean? If somebody's exposed to that sound over a period of time, guess what happens? Damages your ears. You can't hear. And actually, there's some devotees in ISKCON that have lost their hearing. And sometimes you see people with the earplugs, right? Or sometimes they wear airline, the things you wear. Because we forget the kirtan is not the playing of the kartals or the playing of the band. That's supposed to assist and that should be the voice, the kirtan, and the name should be the most strong. Half that sound. Half the volume should be the mridanga, and half that should be the kartal. Wow. My God. Are we going to do that? That's a big deal, right? That's a big deal. And that's not where we're going right now. So I talked about one thing is that the loud sounds of the kartals and mridanga will drown out the holy name. So we get this, and then, but then we compensate, we get this, and then it's so loud that you might lose your hearing. do no harm, right? Then there's a third thing. There's a third problem with loud playing of instruments. A third thing. No, there's more, many more. You might get distracted. You get distracted. But there's another thing which is a very important thing. You have anybody learn like classical Carnatic music? What's this? What's this? Huh? Yeah, it's the tempo. We call it the tempo. In a kirtan, you know, if you have anybody ever go to a concert? Anup Jalota? No? There's other concerts, but yeah, anybody go to, say, so, okay. So in a Western concert, there's somebody standing at a podium, and they tap, 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 right? They have their, what is that called? And they're going like this. What's the purpose of that? What's the purpose of that? Yeah, to make the tempo, so everybody knows what the tempo is, you can follow this. In a kirtan, who's the conductor? That person is called a conductor. Who's the conductor in a kirtan? Who's the conductor? The person leading, right? Are you right? Are you sure of that, or is it somebody? Yeah. So, but then, if anybody plays, you play this instruments louder, you can't follow the leader, and it becomes like that band that I heard of back in Benares. That it becomes like a free for all. Anybody's doing everything, and it's not only is the kirtan too loud, you can't hear it. The name is overwhelmed, and nobody can follow the standards. So these are, what are the three mistakes of the loud playing of the instruments? Tell me. What's one? Yeah, it overpowers the holy name. Yeah. So then the best thing is to play, especially the kartals, softly, not loud. No, loud, softly, especially if you're going to begin. Now, so what's the second one? You lose your hearing. And the third one is? You can't follow. Yeah, okay. So, you know, like there's a sign out there that says, put your shoes in the rack. You know, when you come in here, aren't there racks out there? We have the same thing in Philadelphia. It says, put your shoes in the rack. And then you know what? You walk inside, there's all the shoes are on the floor. Does that happen here? I don't know, I didn't check. All the shoes on the floor. You know what? That's called Gyan and Vigyan. Gyan and Vigyan. You know, Gyan means knowledge, and Vigyan means you realize knowledge. You actually do it. So it says, put your shoes on the rack. So there's certain people who actually not just have the gyan, I'm supposed to put the shoes on the rack, but they actually do put the shoes on the rack. Vigyan. So we're talking about kirtan. This is a vigyan. You actually have to put it in practice. And actually all of you, we want every single one of you to learn and to practice kirtan. Because if you practice kirtan, that is the method to purify your heart. You may not be expert in music, that doesn't matter, but to chant, that's the main part of the kirtan. And if you want to, you accompany it with kartals and mridanga, very nice, but keep it on the low, right? Yep. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, one other thing, I don't know if you're going, like some people went to a Anup Jalota concert or other concerts. So when you go into the concert, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but sometimes they have a bunch of instruments for the audience. When you come in, you take the instrument so you can play along, right? Right? No? Why not? Why not? Can't you do that? I mean, you want to have fun, right? Why don't you do that? Why not? What's that? Yeah, the performers are good. They really know their stuff. They're playing it, and you're playing these instruments might disturb the performance, right? Oh, okay. Is that right? So then, in temples, we have people walk in and they grab the kartals. They have no idea how to play. And they start banging away. Bang, 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 bang. As if they're noisemakers. This is a challenge. This is up to the administrators in the temple. Because, if you want to have a nice kirtan for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it should be proper. Just any like I was talking about the free-for-all in Benares or Varanasi. So anybody comes in, just like any instrument, it takes practice. It's not just you come and you bang. No, but it takes practice. And unfortunately, most people who play the kartals don't know how to play them. I know that's tough. It's tough, but it's true. I'm talking even like GBC members, sannyasis. They don't know. They don't know how to play kartals. Why? Because it takes practice and it takes proper instruction. Okay. So I encourage all of you to find out how to play. If you want to play the kartals along with the kirtan, okay. But learn how to play them. I'll give you a 3-minute practice. Is it time already? Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutare Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachayani Nivishishini Varipashtasya. I know we'll say, well, it's my kid, it's my child, they're just kids, let them play, they want to participate. I know they want to participate. Okay. Would you do it in a concert? No way. Well, that means you don't have, there's not as much respect for the chanting of the holy names as for going to an Anup Jalota concert. Yeah, think about it. Okay, here, kartal. 3 seconds, 3 minutes. What's the first, when you do a kirtan, you play the kartals loud or soft? Soft, yeah. Soft, okay. This is for, you're teaching your kids. Okay, you're teaching. No. Soft, on the edge. Now, hit it twice, and the third time, you lift both thumbs. You know what that third thing is? That third sound is? You know what that's called? That's the sizzle. That's the sizzle. And that's how Srila Prabhupada taught the kartals, that sizzle. Now everybody likes to isn't it? That everybody likes to chicka chick. But you know what happens when you do chicka chick? Everybody knows chicka chick, right? Everybody knows chicka chick. That rhythm takes over the kirtan. It takes it over because the more sound you have in a certain period of space, it becomes dominant. Everybody wants. Did Srila Prabhupada ever do chicka chick? Yeah, but very rarely. Very rarely. Yeah. Just generally to keep the proper sound. You hear the sizzle? Yes. It's not too loud, is it? Is it breaking your eardrums? No. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So it would take practice. It takes, just like it takes, the practice should be before you come to the temple, not in the temple. You follow? Before you come to the temple. But, before you come to the temple, that's what's going on. That's really what's going on. Not just here, all over the movement. It's going on everywhere. So, it's my kid. Let him play. Let him have fun. Well, that means there's no respect for the actual kirtan, for the chanting of the holy names. There's this sound. So this is a problem. So I talked about those 2 examples with in Varanasi and then in the many Gaudiya temples. It became that there's not even kirtan because the other sounds are so. So hopefully that won't happen in ISKCON, and hopefully it won't happen in this temple. So I'm giving your responsibility. It's your responsibility to do it nicely for the pleasure of Lord Chaitanya. And if you do it nicely, you know what happens? Lord Chaitanya will be pleased. He'll clean your heart, and he'll make you his personal associate. You'll go back to Godhead. Kaler doshini de rajan astihi eka mahan guna kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha parambrajayat. In this Kali Yuga, it's a crummy time. It's an awful time. But there's one nice thing. What's the nice thing? Kirtanadeva Krishna. In this age, if you chant Krishna, if you do kirtan, actual kirtan, the names, Mukta Sangha Parambrajet, you'll become free from. Oh, you want to play that? Mukta Sangha Parambrajet. You get free from this material entanglement and you go back to Godhead. Yeah. So just a couple of, I know it's time, and this Prasadam time, right? But when first time I went to India was 1975, in Mayapur, Prabhupada was there. And so after the class, Srila Prabhupada used to do kirtan, and he would circumambulate the deities and go behind the altar and come around, and there would be a kirtan. And there was a bell, and he would ring the bell. Bang, 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 bang. So one of those days, I picked up a mridanga, kol, and I was playing. Yeah, there's probably 200 devotees, And all of a sudden, Srila Prabhupada walked over to me, and he put his hand on the mridanga. He said, "Put it down." True story. I have no idea why. To this day, I don't know why. I could be because he was kind of telling me that, you got to get it together, guy. But it was the kirtan went on a long time. And you know what happened? I took up the mridanga again. And you know what happened? Guess. He came over again and he told me to put it down. So, so I have a big false ego. I don't know if anybody here has, but for me, my usual reaction if somebody says, "Don't," you're doing something wrong, you say, "Well, who are you to tell me? Who are you to tell me?" Right? But I can't do that with my spiritual master, right? Oh my! So I have to learn. Yeah, this is something I have to be. What can I learn from this? Because I should do it right. I need to do it right, and if I do it right, Lord Chaitanya says, "Nanaraga" at the end of the second Shikshastika verse. I don't have any attachment for it. I don't have any taste for the chanting of the holy name. Well, why is that? Because I'm not doing it right. Why don't we have a taste? If we had a test, we wouldn't be able to stop. Satatam kirtayanto mam. We couldn't stop. So why don't we have that taste? Because we're not doing it right. Something about it, our inside our consciousness is wrong, or outside is wrong, or both. So we have to improve. Therefore, the third verse in the Shikshastika is Trinada pi sunichena toroda pi ishnana amanina manadina kirtiniya sadahari. That's humility. Humility means understanding, gosh, I'm not doing things, I got to improve. That's part of humility, right? So I got to improve. I got to do things right. So let's make the kirtan of Lord Chaitanya's movement a wonderful, wonderful experience, so that not only you and I, but everybody who comes in contact with it will get elevated spiritually. Srila Prabhupada used to have a little the dundubi, you say dundubi drum, like for Lord Shiva, and they would go to Tompkins Square Park, and they'd have some, a few people would chant. But if you read in the biographies, Leelamrita and stuff, the chanting was so powerful that practically, this person, that person, this person, that person, they came, they heard it, and they all become devotees. Rupanuga, Jadharani, Damodar, all these people, just by hearing the kirtan, because it was powerful, because it was pure, and because it was done for Krishna's pleasure. So let's, in this temple, in your hearts, make that effort to do a wonderful kirtan for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, and that will be very nice. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I'm sorry I took too long. Oh, you can see him.
Questions? You'll be seated.
I'm okay. Yes, sir.
One quick question, so the singing also should be very soft?
No, the singing should be loud. The playing of the sound, the kartals, the instrument should be softer. We don't, if in Lord Chaitanya's day they didn't have the amplification, right?
Yep.
But in the Rath Yatra, sometimes they had several people sing together, for that. But still, the singing should be the prominent thing, and the other stuff should be less,
Sudhakar Krishna Prabhu has a question.
Hare Krishna.
What happened to Philadelphia Rath Yatra?
It rained.
I know, but we can discuss after.
No, they're discussing in the city. They haven't had we have in Philadelphia. The permits cost like almost $20,000. It's the most expensive permits in the country, practically. So they're seeing if they would take it and apply it to a different date. So the city they already have the money. So we don't know yet if they would switch it to a different date. And so we just found, we had a very nice, actually, about 1,500 people showed up at the temple on Saturday, even though it was raining. And so there was nice kirtan and things. But we'll let you know if something happens that they do reschedule it for this year. It would be nice, but I don't know. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else has a question?
What's that?
Anyone else has a question?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Anil.
How old were you when you joined this?
18.
What made you follow Prabhupada?
Young age.
I was in the complete ignorance, and Srila Prabhupada, his instructions, and his devotees, both, they cut through the ignorance and gave actual knowledge, real knowledge. I wanted, I wanted some kind of real understanding of what the soul was and things, but and I had looked at Christianity and other things, but this was very straightforward, pure, perfect knowledge, and somehow he was able to understand that, and that was Srila Prabhupada's grace and devotees' kindness. It's a long story. I can give you a long version, but not now. Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much. Hari Bol.
Haribo!
Panchakalpaguru Vishtakti Dasamudhi Vaikuttapati Samantai Vanidhi Vaishnava Namaha.
Jai.